Well, that definitely is our next focus here on Sunrise Daily. We're looking at the digitization process and what it will mean for you and I. Joining us now is Mr. Armstrong Idachaba, who is the Director Broadcast Monitoring of the Nigerian
National.
Beg your pardon. Of the NBC. I think I'm just going to say that. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you very much, Maope. Good to be here.
Well, first and foremost, a lot of Nigerians might have heard of digitization, especially when they see it on the news. But people are yet to fully comprehend. What does it mean for them?
I think that's a very relevant question. Digitization of broadcasting. Basically, digitization has been around for some time as a technological intervention, not only in the area of broadcasting, in the print and in several life areas. Technology has digitized. It's just only necessary that also broadcasting has to digitize to maximize the benefits that accrue from digitization. And the digitization of broadcasting in Nigeria is not particularly new. If you recall, for some time in Nigeria, we have had cable television services offering multiple channels. You remember CTL, you remember ABG, and a horde of other local cable television services. They've been offering digital broadcasting. The difference, though, is that the digitization of broadcasting has happened over the period, on the pay TV platform. And if you extend from even the cable television, of course, you know that the DTH companies like MultiChoice, MyTV, some of these, including, of course, GoTV and StarTimes, are also offering pay broadcast services on the digital platform. So broadcasting has digitized a long time. It is still digitized. But the proposition that the federal government is pushing through the National Broadcasting Commission is the digitization of broadcasting on the digital terrestrial platform, in which case the focus of government really is with the open television services. Don't forget that government has a responsibility stipulated by the Constitution to ensure that the vast majority of Nigerians, especially those those below the spectrum, those you may prefer to call the masses, they too have access to qualitative broadcasting. It's an obligation of government. So what government is simply doing is to extend the frontiers, the benefits of the digitization of broadcasting, and bring them to the level that the cross-spectrum of Nigerians, irrespective of social economic hierarchy, can also have access to multiplicity of channels, pluralism of content and diversity, and also qualitative broadcasting. So that's just the whole idea.
Well, we've seen a situation where there was a launch that happened in Jos. I think it was a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly, and then there was, subsequently we've seen the journey around states now to commission their own infrastructure, joining the digital platforms. But then there are questions as to how do Nigerians key into this digitization process. We know that as we speak, very soon a lot of Nigerians will not be able to receive signals via the common aerial that a lot of people know. But a lot of people don't seem to be aware of the fact that, I still get calls, people saying, okay, we don't get you with our aerial anymore. What is going on? They do not understand that, there is a new system whereby they might need to get set-up boxes to be able to key into that system. Is there awareness there on the part of the populace?
Your question is rather condensed because it brings in so many issues. Mm-hmm. But let me try to break them down. First of all, let me explain the structure of the digital broadcast era. What we have currently is what you call dual illumination, where people can receive their broadcast channels, like channels in Abuja. You have your normal aerial, what you call your normal aerial. You have access to channel television. Maybe all you need to do is to turn the aerial on top of your TV, and you get the direction. Alternatively, because we have also rolled out in Abuja, you can also receive channels television with the aid of a set-top box. Mm-hmm. Now, the set-top box gives you the digital experience. If you are receiving Channels television on the old analog aerial, you probably will be having access to only about 4 channels that are also on the open terrestrial. Those are those ones that are not going through the set-top box. But with the introduction of the set-top box, you now have, through technology, you can compress a lot of channels. And as we speak, in Jos and Abuja, ordinary people that have access to the set-top box can enjoy like 30 TV channels. That's the difference. It comes with a lot of advantages too for interactiveness. Like I said earlier, top quality, crisp signal quality. And then there's an information channel where you can show weather, where you can stream information about government, about traffic, and about other things that are relevant to society. So what you currently have is analog transmitting side by side the digital. Now, the digital experience on open television, like I've said, and like you rightly pointed out, is only in 2 cities currently, Jos and Abuja. So if you are in Abuja and you have a set-top box, which is like a mini decoder, it enables you to receive the digital transmission that's emanating from the signal distributor called Pinnacle in Abuja and from a signal distributor called ITS in Jos. Now they have multiplex facilities and enables them to compress channels, some of them national, some regional, and some local, and then they give you those offerings.
Well, we've heard from industry players now that there are issues with the set-top boxes. I mean, people were saying that, when they saw this opportunity, they figured it was going to be a window of business as well. And some people have invested heavily in, trying to make this set-top boxes, but don't seem to have been able to make any way in the industry. Have you heard such complaints?
What I can explain on the side of government is I think that the whole idea of government, especially in Nigeria, introducing that set-top box component and indigenizing it is because we believe it's going to stimulate some growth within the economy. It's going to create an opportunity for Nigerians to acquire the technology to make those boxes. It's going to create employment for young Nigerians. And for that reason, we deliberately, as a commission, licensed 13 indigenous local manufacturing companies, and mandated them to produce those set-top boxes in Nigeria. So as we speak, about 6 of them have set up their factory lines. Only last week, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture was at Port Harcourt to commission, was at Calabar to commission the set-top box manufacturing plant, complete with an SMT facility, for purpose of producing set-top boxes. Some of the boxes, actually, that we've used in Jos and in Abuja were actually assembled in Nigeria. If you go to Jabi here, there's a company called Trephonics. They're in the business of manufacturing or assembling set-top boxes. And like I said, there's Gospel, there's SMK.
Is the model that the Nigerian government is, because if you can correct me if I have heard wrongly, but what I did hear was that the boxes were going to be given out for free at no cost. Who is then going to bear the cost of the production of the set? How will the people who are in the business make their money?
And that, again, it is something that it's important that we need to explain. Remember, like I said earlier on, is the intention of government that citizens across the spectrum have access to information. Somebody has to bear the cost. What has happened all over the world in many regions is that governments have had to subsidize, including the United States. Government created what they call subsidy, and created coupons where people, especially the indigent, will have to go and then give this coupon and get some kind of support or discount. Same thing in the UK. The very elderly, the less privileged, were also given some form of incentive, to enable them afford the boxes. Now, the proposition in Nigeria, initially when we began, the expectation was that government was going to be able to raise money from the sale of spectrum. Don't forget that key to the digital transition is the fact that the broadcast spectrum will now be available for telecom services, right? When you compress signal, because what the channel you are using now, to carry all the analog stations within the Abuja area, maybe 10, 12, if that single channel can give you up to 12, 20 channels using digital compression.
So, subsidy is definitely one word. I know that a lot of Nigerians do get afraid to hear because of our experience in the past. But I understand that my colleague in Lagos, has a question for you.